Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Sunday Live. It's your friendly neighborhood brother from another mother bringing you insights today for your mental, emotional, and relationship health. Welcome. Do me a favor. If you are a regular on these broadcasts, click that like button and click subscribe. That helps out a whole lot. Go over to markdaysus.com where you can find out more about our materials and resources as well. You can even support these broadcasts by clicking on the donate button as well too. Checking out our books, our materials, our topics. I have a whole resource library that you can take advantage of. markdaysus.com/topics, where I have done my best to curate our materials and broadcasts and blog posts and just all the different areas that can be a help for your life and for your journey. So I pray that you are blessed by that. Welcome. It's warmer weather here. And so I've got a bit of my summery-ish attire, bringing it in early because as soon as that sun comes out, I'm going to just join right within it and celebrate it. If it's not warm where you are, I pray the warmth that we bring today will be a blessing to your life and your journey. If you're having a rough week, a rough day, or even be honest, a rough year, it's all right. You're welcome in this place. I've dedicated my life and my journey to helping believers to get equipped in mental, emotional, and relationship health. And I found in my own pastoral journey, there wasn't people talking about it. Meanwhile, the body of Christ is struggling with anxiety, with OCD, with intrusive thoughts, with depression, with all kind of mood disorders. And meanwhile, it's not being talked about, and then so many people have shame that they even have a struggle or even have a battle. Well, I was neck deep in the trenches of my own mental health journey, and I made a decision that I wanted to go out and I wanted to help people. I wanted to help them experience healing of the heart, renewing of their thinking patterns, and to help them in their relationships. So that's why we talk about mental, emotional, relationship health. We believe they're all tied in here together. And I pray throughout the Bible study, throughout the Q&A, throughout some of the fun laughs, some of the breaks of music, that you'll find some comfort, you'll find some encouragement, that whatever you're battling and whatever you're struggling with, you're not alone. And I know this in looking at each of the questions because I do read through them. And I'm not able to address all the questions that come in. If you'd like to send in a question, you can do so. markdaysus.com/questions. We also keep an eye out for super chats and Rumbles. I always forget the Rumble rants that come through. For those of you that are on Rumble, we're also on Facebook as well too. But this is a way you can take some time to type out your question and send it in. In the questions that come in, many people feel like they're the only ones struggling with this. And I've always had this sense of like, I want to get everybody to a central place to help them to realize they're not alone. And this is one of the ways that we can do that. We love coming to you on Sundays and just being a blessing to your life and your journey. So with that said, let me remind you of a couple books that you can take advantage of. One that has been very helpful to a lot of people, and I appreciate all the great support around this book, The OCD Healing Journey. This is going to help you. You battle with intrusive thoughts. You battle with topics about losing your salvation. You battle with topics about your standing before God. You spin and spin and spin over cleanliness, over order, over the goofy thoughts that come your way, over a relationship that you're in, over feeling like you have to confess your sins over and over again to somebody, or over talking your relationship patterns. The OCD Healing Journey will be a great help for you. And I also had a secondary book to this, The Myth of the Perfect One. I took some time to walk through relationship OCD and share with you the insights I've learned along the way, again, deep in the trenches of that. And I'm also right now teaching in the Healing and Freedom community, The Myth of the Perfect One. So if you battle that, it's a good time to jump in. I'm at the closing segments, but not to worry if you missed me posting them or some of the live ones that I did, because all the recordings are there now. It's in the library. You can check that out, markdejesus.com/community, and you'll be able to check that out. Without further ado, I want to bring in the love of my life, all that I cling to. She means more than this world to me. And ladies and gentlemen, this broadcast would not be anything near what it could even possibly be without my sister from another mister, the love of my life. Would you welcome Melissa DeJesus in the house? And she deserves a round of applause.
Hello. I'm here. I have my tea today. It's tangerine.
I absolutely love.
It smells delish.
I absolutely love that you respond the opposite that people typically do when there's a round of applause given to them.
I'm like, hey, I'm here.
You're like, what's going on? What's going on? Max, however, he embraces it.
He does.
He like gets into the
Our Bubba.
So it's warm out.
I love every second of it.
Warm equals happiness, right? And so
it's just amazing for the brain. Can I tell you?
It is. It is. And
Yeah. And your Hawaiian shirts are making an appearance. So we're excited about that.
Yes, yes.
We need to get you some new ones. So listen.
Well, this technically
we have to search them out because
this technically is a newer one. Yeah.
That's true. But you were in same shirt for like 2 years.
There's a few of them
Same shirts.
that are same shirts. Yeah.
Which is okay.
Yep.
But I think we need to upgrade a little bit.
I hear you. Well,
but I don't know how much can you like get differing Hawaiian shirts. I don't know.
Well, they have to be specialty sizes and blah, 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 and all that too. So all that, so if I find it, I lock in and I own it.
You do.
I own it.
And I love it. Anyway, welcome everyone.
And I love you that you love it. So I would like to do a part 2 from last week because we were watching a video. It's an Usher training video. And part of me in watching it was wondering, it's comical, but I wonder, was this video actually used for training? There's a part of me that's like, they might be using that. They might have used this in the 80s or whenever it was made.
Could have.
To help train their ushers. But anyways, a guy named Chuck Neighbors, you can look up his YouTube channel. It's a video called Blessed Usherance. Blessed Usherance, Jesus is mine. Yeah. So anyway, today would be a nice part 2. Last week, we all got a kick out of the screaming baby and the option of slapping the mother.
That was good. Because like her head flung back. She was like, whoa, I just got slapped.
Yeah, so today we're going to get into part 2. So when I go over to it, we're going to jump right in. I think it's like, I forget what number it's on. But anyways, we're going to look at the second half of this. And
I hope he gets a lot of followers from this. I mean, listen, we're not the biggest channel, but hey, show him some love, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we can learn something about ushering. We can ush better. So let's all ush better.
Question number 9.
9, that's what it was.
When dealing with latecomers, you should
Latecomers.
let them sit in any available empty seats.
Good morning. Let's see. How about right over there?
B, seat them in the back. C, send them away and tell them next time, be on time.
You have to leave.
My prints are going away from me.
Next time, be on time. No, sorry. Sorry.
It's like, you need to go. Look how high up his
I would have
is.
I would have inserted an option of lock the doors, and that would have been my addition and contribution to this.
The answer is B. Seat them in the back in seats that you have reserved for this purpose.
Yeah.
You want them to feel welcome, but again, you also want to minimize distractions.
And you want to remind
A break
them.
in the flow of the service or during congregational singing is usually the best time to seat latecomers. Avoid seating them during a prayer or special music. If crowding is a problem, encourage people to move to the center of their row to allow for easier seating.
Meanwhile, he's a teenager. He probably should have been said, hey, bro,
Yeah.
go get with the teen. Do they even do that anymore? I don't even know.
I don't know. And I think that's the option they gave is a good passive aggressive, like here there's a reserved seating, just to remind you that you just to let you know in a nice way.
I just love how his shirt's tucked into the belt. Or that's like a semi-sweater.
Semi-sweater.
It's like
All right. Here we go. Someone leaves the service.
Question number 10. Someone leaves during the service from the front of the auditorium. You should A, intercept them and send them back to their seat, explaining that once the service has begun, they are not allowed to leave.
Yes. Yes, right there. Church lady would love that.
B, encourage them to sit in the back upon their return.
Here we go with the back. We got the reserve section for the people who are late and the ones who left. They're all the...
I love how big everyone's glasses are, too. Oh, my... I love this.
C, do nothing and let them return to their original seat.
Now, what do you think the answer should be?
Oh, I think you let them return to their seat.
'Cause
Although it could be disruptive.
And most,
What do I think they're going to go for?
because in most churches, you just kind of like come.
You hang in the back.
No, in most churches, you just walk right in. They don't.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Yes. Sometimes it could feel like a free for all. Like, okay, you went to the bathroom a couple of times now. What's going on?
Right.
The answer is B.
It's B.
Again, trying to minimize distractions.
Bring her over to the.
See?
Question number 11. You are taking the offering. As you wait by each row, you should
Oh, here we go.
Look at each person directly as the plate comes to them.
Look at, he put more money.
I love it. I love
Smile and make eye contact, but not too long at any one person.
it. His smile cracks me up.
C. Reasoning that this is a personal time between God and them, look at the floor, the back wall, and avoid eye contact if possible.
They had to
The
tap
answer
him with the plate.
is B.
It's B.
Yes, it is a personal time, so you don't want to intimidate people by staring, but neither do you want them to think that it is something that is unpleasant or painful.
Look
Smile.
at his face. His face looks
Don't
like it's
wait
painful.
too long if someone is writing a check. Tell them you will come back later.
First of all, who's writing a check in the middle of service? Like,
That's
have
right.
that ready.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Okay, an elderly man. Here we go.
Question number 12. An elderly man is oblivious to the fact that his hearing aid is squealing. You should A.
Okay, before they get into the answers, this doesn't exist anymore. And if it does, you need to escort the person out and tell them to get updated hearing aids, because new hearing aids have a built-in system where they take out. I know this personally. That's one of the things that
Right.
they do. They remove the ringing. You have to go through this whole process where you put the hearing aids in and they get the ringing out so that you don't have that
You know,
problem.
the wee.
Yes.
Ask the people near him to move to another location so they will not be disturbed.
I love how they put the noise in.
Yeah. Yeah. So watch this. He asks everyone else to move.
Stop it right now.
This is a communal shun right here.
holy shunning.
Yes.
B. Hand a note to the person
Hand a
asking
note.
him to take care of the problem.
He should do hand signals, point to his ears.
Hand signals was what I would choose. Yeah.
C. Gently rip the device from the man's ear and tell him he can have it back after the service.
You can have it back after the service. What?
The answer is B.
No, it should have been
Be
C.
as kind, as tactful as
Oh
possible.
my goodness.
Question number 13. The pastor is in the middle of his sermon, and suddenly someone jumps up and loudly proclaims that they are an angel and have a message from God. You should
That's a charismatic
A.
church, hold on.
fall to your knees and thank God for his personal interest in this congregation. B. As quickly as possible, along with another usher, see the person out of the auditorium.
Watch
C.
this.
Popcorn!
Hand out popcorn, sit back and enjoy, as it's probably a planned presentation by the drama ministry.
See!
D. Look at the pastor and shrug, waiting for him to tell you what to do.
And I would say maybe give the option of E, give him his YouTube channel, and millions of
Right.
people will follow him.
I would like C, personally. That's my personal response.
Oh my goodness. I could say many things about this. Or have him
We could have a whole commentary on this
Or have
one
it-
section.
or have him predict the next election.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Look at him pointing at everybody.
The
Yeah.
answer is B. If he really is an angel, you probably won't be able to stop him anyway.
That's true
The
right there.
drama ministry should tell you in advance if they're planning anything disruptive for dramatic effect.
Oh my goodness.
Question number 14. During the service, someone collapses, falling to the floor. You should A. Yell help, rush to a phone and dial 911.
She fell nice.
Somebody dial 911.
Now he right there needs some acting help, because he was like he was like a South Carolina
Right.
guy. Help,
Yes.
somebody
Right.
somebody help.
B. Assume that the spirit is upon them and do nothing.
That's what would probably happen.
C. Quickly and quietly go to the person, assess the situation, and if possible, help the person out of the auditorium. The answer
Yeah,
is C.
the answer is C,
If
however.
there are any doctors or nurses in the congregation, you should become familiar with who they are and make a mental note of where they are sitting. If you have any doubts about moving someone, get assistance.
Get assistance.
It's C, but most people would pick B, I think.
Question number 15.
Yeah.
The usher's job is over when A, the offering has been taken.
He's like, see ya after he puts the display. I'm out. All right, guys.
He's like, I'm going home. I'm going to get coffee.
B, you eat onions on Saturday evening. C, the worship service is over.
He's like, I'm out. Peace, everybody.
Wait, the onion thing was odd. What?
Yeah, I didn't get
D,
that either.
most of the people are gone and preparations are done or underway for the next service. The answer is D. Even if it is not your responsibility, it is a good idea to make sure that the building and sanctuary are prepared for whatever happens next. As for the onions, remember the breath mints.
with
Certs with Retsyn.
yeah, and you know what? Where did I put?
I don't know, but somebody wrote, "Give me that money."
I want to pull this up real quick because
my goodness,
I talked
love
about
it so much.
I talked about Retsyn last time.
You did.
Yeah. Certs with Retsyn.
Yep.
You only know this if you grew up in the 70s or I think in
80s.
in
It was
the
an 80s thing, yeah.
It was still there. So Retsyn was a mixture because they didn't tell you what it was, but it's like, oh, it's going to make your breath amazing. We're like, oh, okay. It was a mixture of copper gluconate, flavoring.
Great.
Which whenever they say flavoring, that can be a whole list of things. And partially hydrogenated cottonseed oil. And so by 2015, the FDA declared partially hydrogenated oil, which has artificial trans fats, unsafe for food consumption.
Okay, no wonder I've got arthritis in my 40s, okay? Because I was chomping on Retsyn.
Because of the oil was the key to the product. There's no like mint that's helping you. There's like this oil that's like a carrier, and then a bunch of like fake stuff that's put in there.
Isn't the FDA supposed to be all over this stuff?
Yeah.
Don't get me started, okay?
Well, just put it this way.
Let's go down that rabbit hole.
2015, they declared it unsafe, and 2018 was the deadline for the removal. So they just left this Retsyn out in the atmosphere for 3 years.
Oh my gosh, imagine the people that were dogging those like wild, like candy, because they were yummy.
Yep.
Not for nothing. Goodness.
So it's interesting when they talked about the when does the usher's job done? It made me think about there was a lot of people, especially at the church in Connecticut I worked at. There was a lot of people that never actually like attended church.
They would just show up to their job.
Do any of you have this phenomenon of no people that would come to church and they would just hang out in the lobby or go to have some coffee and they would just be there and then they would just hang out and talk and just leave and go home. Does anybody else in the comment section, did you ever experience that in your church where maybe it was an usher, they would ush and then they would just kind of they would just kind of hang out in the hallway, or people that would just and I never actually saw them attending an actual service. It was an interesting phenomenon. Is anybody?
Well, let's see what people say.
I don't think my.
We're unless you're kind of paying attention to that.
Does anybody? They're talking about candy cigarettes, and
right?
Popeye cigarettes with Retsyn. Cigarettes with Retsyn.
Oh my! This is so good.
I'm definitely. Can somebody help me? Does anybody? I don't think anybody. Somebody said yes.
See.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, a lot of church was just boring, and they were like, "All right, check. I came and served. I'm out."
Yeah, there was some guys who their wives would attend, and then they would just kind of hang out in the lobby. Well, and here too, because there's multiple services, so you can't really.
It's exhausting. Let's be honest.
No, I wasn't going to say that.
Okay.
I was talking about how with multiple services, you can't really tell what's what or who's in.
That's true.
So there's like constantly movement happening.
Yeah,
and
you can duck and hide.
You can
get your Game Boy out and go duck and hide.
You can duck and hide. Somebody wrote, what is Retsyn? Go look it up.
Go look it up. It's not good.
Google will spell it for you. Retsyn. It was in a commercial back in the day. If you don't know what Certs with Retsyn is,
Certs with Retsyn.
I know how old you are to a bracket. Anyways, you want to go ahead and greet everybody?
Sure.
Because in just a moment, I'm going to get to Bible study. We're going to talk about the fear of death and what Paul said about it. Looking forward to getting into that. So go ahead, my love. Welcome, everybody.
Okay, little shoulder shake. Okay, I'm going to start on Facebook. Hi, Zach Kent. How are you, sir? Welcome.
Mr. Zach.
Yes, let's go over to Rumble. Hey, Courtney Laws. How's it going, my dear? It's snowing. Where are you? Are you in Minnesota or one of those places that's like sub-zero?
No.
And Mr. Janata. Hello, sir. Hope you and Lenny had a great weekend. Okay, let me go to YouTube. Okay, hi, the dude. He just became a heart-healing overcomer. How you doing? Hi, Tristan Martin. Welcome. Happy Sunday. Jenny Joyful. How's it going? Benjamin Webb. Hello, sir. Joanna Palmer. Welcome. HS. Ovenin Luami. How's it going? Spider Dan. Hello, Spider Dan. Let's see. Carissa. Sunflowers. Hey, Sunflowers from Texas. Joshua Miller. Let's see. Miss Lynn, she is just the best mod ever. Everybody be just so kind to her. Pilgrim, Judy Williams. Hi, Judy. Happy Sunday. Anna Go. Hello. Hi, Christopher. Jordan Rio. Let's see. Herbert. Hello, Herbert.
Herbert.
I had an Uncle Herbert. We used to call him Herbie. Uncle Herbie. 1, 2, 3. All eyes on me. I like that. Are you a teacher? Let's see.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, all eyes on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Hi, Samuel, Noah, and Map, Ice Bear. Hello. Let's see. Hi, Kathy Carasquillo. How you doing? Peaceful Doves. Hello. Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay Graham. Tan Man ASMR. Listen, I need to get my tan on. I am not as tan as I would like to be, and it's a problem. Okay, Jay Daniel. Hello. Miss B. Hi, Miss B. Miss B said her mom always had certs in her purse. Is your mom okay? Because if she was eating those like candy.
With Retsyn.
Let's see. Hi, Justin. He's the Lithuanian. Are you a fellow Lithuanian? Let's see. Let me go down here. Hi, Rose. How's it going? Crystal. I'm going to zoom to the bottom, y'all. Okay. KK Music Lover. Hello. Super Caregiver 1. Hello. Brooke. How's it going? KK. Oh, I already said that one. Hi, Luke. Striking Cobra. Easy Pat. Crystal. Hi, Martin. Or Marty, sorry. Rexamillion. Kingdom Come, Thy Will Be Done. That's a great one. Nishan. Hey, Nishan. Okay, listen. I think I got everybody. Wait, B. Joy Sawyer. Let me see. Shabithi, hi. Be Still and Look Up. D-Rod, hey D-Rod. Manuel, he cares for us. How's it going? Okay, if I missed you, I'm sorry I missed you, and we are so glad to have you with us today.
Fantastic.
Hi, Judson from India. Hello from India.
Yeah.
Justinas is 100% Lithuanian. I am like high up there. I'm like almost 60%, I think, because both my parents, their parents were Lithuanian. So yeah, it's very hard to find your Lithuanian genealogy, by the way. Like very difficult.
Isn't that because of records that were destroyed?
I think the war in the churches got destroyed, but I wish I could go back further, but yeah.
Yeah, the churches were the primary place where records were kept, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
which is why in England, I all them, I can go back so far, which is how I was able to trace all the way back to the Mayflower. But yeah, with like Lithuania, Poland, all them, you can't go back. So that was a little side tangent, but hello and welcome everyone.
Very good side tangent.
Yes.
So let me ask you, how far can people, because you've done deep dives, how far can people really go back? Like, who are the ones that are like been able to gold mine find?
That's a good question. I'm going to have to ask ChatGPT.
Because you mentioned the Mayflower.
Yeah,
so that
I've been able to go there.
What about before then?
Before then, yeah, you can go back really far, like really far. In England, those churches kept meticulous records. So, yeah.
Unless they got burned and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. In battles and wars.
Yeah.
Which that's where most stuff gets lost.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting. Interesting.
So, yeah, glad to have everybody with us.
going to get into some Bible study time. Looking forward to this. And I'll be sure to keep an eye on questions that we'll address later if you want to put them in super chats. But I got a good stack here of some areas I'm going to cover. Today, I want to get into this subject, and it's going to come out of Philippians. We're going to talk about the fear of death. And I'm going to bring it from the standpoint of how Paul dealt with it, and looking at it from the standpoint of how he navigated being in prison and being in the trenches in this tension of like, I want to live, but yet I could end up dying. And we want to navigate through his mindset, get an understanding of like how he navigated through this. And we'll see this in Philippians 1:20 through 26. And the truth is, so many of you that come to this channel, you know that fear can have quite an influence on our lives. And one of the great fears that could come up is kind of like whatever fear is trying to say and do at whatever level. It's like you follow the trail of that fear because this could happen, because this would happen. And oftentimes it leads to, and then I'm going to die. And that sense of fear involves a lot of a sense of loss, a loss of control, losing your ability to live out your plans, live out your dreams. And that sense of loss can extend to a lot of areas. A sense of failing, a sense of being forgotten, a sense of not having any meaning. Now, Paul's in a place where he's writing from prison, imprisonment of some kind. He's got chains going on, and he's facing a real possibility of being killed. He's facing the reality he could get executed. And what comes out of him is not this inferno of anxiety, but a sense of perspective, being settled. And he comes out of it others focused, which is incredibly powerful. And so what we're going to look at is going to get into his mindset and his understanding and how he navigated this. So I'll read this from the New King James, and I'll also read it from the English Standard as I have been doing this. Philippians 1:20 through 26 says, according to my earnest expectation and hope that in nothing I shall be ashamed, but with all boldness as always, so now also Christ will be magnified in my body, whether by life or by death. For to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. But if I live on in the flesh, this will mean fruit from my labor. Yet what I shall choose, I cannot tell. He says in verse 23, for I'm hard pressed between the two, having a desire to depart and be with Christ, which is far better. Nevertheless, to remain in the flesh is more needful for you. And being confident of this, I know that I shall remain and continue with you all for your progress and joy of faith, that your rejoicing for me may be more abundant in Jesus Christ by my coming to you again. Let's go through this again in the English Standard. It says, as it is my eager expectation and hope that I will not be at all ashamed, but that with full courage now, as always, Christ will be honored in my body, whether by life or by death. For to me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. If I am to live in the flesh, that means fruitful labor for me. Yet which I shall choose, I cannot tell. I'm hard pressed between the two. My desire is to depart and be with Christ, for that is far better. But to remain in the flesh is more necessary on your account. Convinced of this, I know that I will remain and continue with you all for your progress and joy in the faith, so that in me you may have ample cause to glory in Christ Jesus because of my coming to you again. So this passage is a continuation. Obviously, Paul's writing a letter here. We're cutting it off into chunks and sections. But if I go back a verse, remember Paul's mindset, his redemptive mindset, and how he's looking at his situation. He's seeing the gospel going out, even though there are goofy motives happen. There's division happening. He's like, I'm glad Christ is being preached. He's looking at his circumstances in a redemptive lens. And he even says in verse 19, I know that this will turn out for my deliverance. So there's a sense of like, some good stuff's going to happen. I believe and I see freedom happening here through your prayer and supply of the Spirit in Christ Jesus. So it's important to keep that in mind in his redemptive lens. And what I talked about is not what you go through. It's your interpretation of your circumstances. And Paul was not letting his circumstances imprison him. And so it fueled his perspective in this. So then he expresses a sense of expectation and hope. In the beginning of verse 20, he brings out those two words. And it's good to take a look at them, because that word expectation, it speaks of an anxious and persistent expectation. It's not like an anxious anxiety kind of thing. It's like the feeling of your anticipation for Christmas. You're like a kid and you can't sleep because you're looking forward to opening your presents the next morning. It's that kind. It's not a phobic, tormenting kind of world, but a earnest, exciting expectation. So I'll give you another example, because it's good when you study words in the Bible, get the number of the word in Greek or Hebrew, and then look at where else it's used to kind of get a sense of context of the communication. One example here is Romans 8, one of my favorite chapters in the entire Bible. Paul speaks about for the earnest expectation. So it kind of gives you another use of that word. Of the creation eagerly awaits for the revealing of the sons of God. So that sense of the return of Christ and who we are coming into a fullness in our redemption, right? So same word, and he's using that here. So very, very strong sense of anticipation. That word hope brings out expectation, but there's a confidence that's within it. So two power-packed words that he's bringing out. An expectation or confidence, as you see here on the screen. And I took this word and use another example, for example, in Hebrews 10:23. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope. Like hold on to it, the confession of our hope, which is in Christ Jesus, right? Without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. It's another exhortation of hang in there, stay the course. He is faithful. He sees you. He's coming again. Hold fast. There is good. The story's not over, right? So Paul had this very strong in his heart. And I'm going to give you three expectations he had here. And then we're going to move into how that fueled the perspective of where he's at, especially when it came to the fear of death or the threat of death or just his predicament. And I want to apply these three mindsets to my life on a regular basis. The first one is I will not live in shame. He says there in verse 20, according to my earnest expectation and hope that in nothing I shall be ashamed. Now, a lot of us, when we see that word ashamed, we immediately attribute it to, I will not be ashamed to speak the gospel. That's where a lot of people tend to just go with it. But the meaning of that word speaks of to feel shame about yourself, even a sense of disfigurement. And that word disfigurement means that there's like some kind of flaw about you physically that people could see. But that's what that word gets into, a sense of like people looking at you and seeing some kind of flaw about you, a sense of dishonor about yourself or feeling disgraced. So this encompasses the world of shame. Paul's really saying, I'm not going to live in shame in where I'm at and let it say something shameful about me. And where could that have happened? He's in chains right now. His ministry work, his shame in his ministry not appearing like it's working well. Like, hey, this lead guy, look at him. Where's his God? He's in this place of limitation right now. So that shame of being imprisoned, becoming embarrassed that he gave his life for the gospel, and now here he is in tough times. This is a big thing that happens to us. It's not only what you're going through, but the sense of shame, humiliation over what you're going through. And so he was able to cut through that because that gave him a sense of confidence, which is the second layer. Because for many of us, we need to break through that shame layer, and we fed it. We've been compulsive about it. We listen to what it's saying. But this next layer that he goes through in the next part of the verse, with all boldness, again, we attribute this to like, I'm not ashamed. I'm just going to speak the gospel everywhere. But really, it's speaking about a sense of confidence and courage that you're living in. That this sense of I will practice confident speaking. This word speaks of, that's translated boldness. The English Standard Version uses courage, but this word speaks of free, frank, uninhibited speech. Not in the sense of like you're running people over, you're just you're just telling every person you run into, you're just getting into their life, and I got to tell you about Jesus. I got to tell you about Jesus. I got to tell you about Jesus. That's not really what's bringing about. It's a sense of like when I talk, it's not like I have fear and shame that's holding back. I'm not trying to like conceal it. I have a confidence to speak. And that confidence is coming out in the context of speaking to authorities, because he was brought before magistrates, brought before guards, brought before authorities. And in those moments when he's brought to that place, he would speak with a sense of confidence. You know, it's like when the Bible says, when people ask of the hope that lies within you, that you would speak to that. And just those moments where you're going to be, there's like when push comes to shove, the spotlight's on, and you just speak plainly with love, but with confidence, who Christ is within you, or even just standing up for what is right. So it's that sense of assurance, free and fearless confidence, and a cheerful courage. You see there in the definition, very powerful word here, something we all want to build in our lives. And it's really the opposite. The meaning of this word is the opposite of someone who would be like a slave at that time, or would be under social threat. Like, I don't want to say anything because I just don't want anyone to not like me, or maybe you hedge what you're saying, or you qualify, or you shrink. This word is not talking about being pushy or annoying to people, because I think a lot of, in the trenches of talking to Christians, a lot of times when you hear boldness and not ashamed, they think of the people that are like bullies and are intrusive with their words and walk into a room and just start shouting, or stand on street corners and just start yelling at people. That's what we often attribute it to. It's not what it's bringing out. It's that in the moment when it's needed, you speak of the truth that lives within you. He's the way, the truth, and the life. So it's not necessarily about yelling or about some kind of being physically brash. It's more about the confidence that we build. And when it comes time to speak, you speak freely. The third thing is that Christ will be made great. That he'll be magnified in my life. And he said, by either dying or by living. This reminds me of the story in Daniel. I'm having a lot of conversation with my son because he's studying the book of Daniel. So we're having nice back and forth. But I've always been moved by the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel 3, where they're called to bow and worship the statue, and they choose not to. And Nebuchadnezzar gets furious and starts threatening them. And they say in Daniel 3, Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. Now, up until that time, you know, how much are you hearing from them talking? This is what the Bible's talking about, that moment where it's like, okay, not going to do this, not going to bow down, not going to forsake my walk with Christ. We don't need to defend ourselves before you in this manner. If we're thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it. Powerful statement, right? Throw us in that fire, and God's able to deliver us. That's not the part that moves me in a deep way. Not saying that other part isn't moving. It's quite bold. He says he can deliver us. But they said this, even if he doesn't. That to me is like top shelf, confident faith. God is able to deliver us out of the fire. But if he doesn't, we're still not going to bow down. This is a mindset that Paul carried. They said, for me, if I live, it's great. If I die, I still win. There was this power that he carried in his mindset through his journey, though. I'm going to talk about this. I need you to understand what fueled Paul's confidence. First part here, I want to bring out this statement. Whether I live or die, I win. This is a very, very powerful posture. For me to live is Christ, to die is gain. Paul saw his life as something, no matter what happens, the outcome is going to be great. He faced his limitation, his inability to control situations. Do you see here the letting go of control? Like, I can't control what's going to happen here. And in that, there was like a freedom. Like, hey, I live for Christ. And so if you get to the point where you say you're going to kill me, that's still not going to kill what I'm doing or what God's called me to do. And he says to live is Christ. Which is interesting. Why doesn't he say for me to live is with Christ, or for me to live? He saw his day-to-day life as being one with Christ. He takes the subject of daily living as an identity thing. So for me to live equals Christ. He's the very content and substance of living. So if I get to keep living, it's Christ living through me. It goes back to his acknowledgement in Galatians. It's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives within me. So for every believer listening to this and watching this, you are in Christ. He is living through you. And many would just immediately say, yeah, but I don't know, because I've done this, I've done this. Let's establish theological fundamental here. You as a believer, Christ lives in and through you. And so Paul grabbed onto this reality to the point that he said, I win if I die. For me to live is Christ, to die is gain. That's a gangster move. That's a real gangster move. I mean that in a good way, in the sense of like he took away the ultimate threat that people would have against him. Because when we talk about the fear of death, we have to bring it down a couple notches to the fears that lead to them. Because there's a fear of looking weird. There's a fear of public scrutiny. There's a fear of what people think. There's fear of being portrayed in a certain way. There's this fear of man, fear of the crowd, fear of opposition. There's all these things that lead, and where your thoughts go, they travel to, then I'm just going to die. That's where it really goes. When I navigate the trail of people's fears, sometimes I go, let's play this out. And then what's going to happen? Then people won't like me. And then what's going to happen? Then I'm going to lose my money or lose this, or lose my job. Okay, and then what's going to happen? And at the end of the trail, I'm alone or I'm going to die. That's where fear gains its threat. Paul decided he was going to look at this stuff right in the face and say, nah, you're not going to win. And when we think about the fear of death, it's really about the fear of losing control of our journey, right? Or losing control of the narrative. And Paul stepped into this and go, listen, I'm not going to let that hold on to me in such a way that he was able to say, even this threat of death, if I lose the sense of where my journey is going, I'm not going to let that win. Rejection, criticism, failure, humiliation, it's not going to win. It's interesting, though, because the fear of death is like a top fear. I want to talk about this for a minute. The top fears that are facing people. I always love the Seinfeld joke. It's an old joke from the 90s, I believe, where he would talk about the fear of public speaking. And it's a great written joke. I'm actually going to read it so I don't butcher it. I'm not going to say it necessarily with his timing. You know, the thing about fear of death, but according to most studies, people's number one fear is actually public speaking. Number two is death. And he does this thing, death is number two. Does that sound right? And he says, this means to the average person, if you go to a funeral, you'd be better off in the casket than doing the eulogy. It's a great joke, well-written joke. But it brings out the irrational aspect of fear that he's looking at the time. Now, if you look at fears, it's not necessarily fear of public speaking, number one, fear of death, number two, but he brings out how fear messes with us. Because the fear of death and the fear of public speaking are actually wrapped into the top fears. I'm going to put this up on the screen. Some of it is a little small, so if you're on your phone, you may have to freeze it, take a screenshot, and then zoom in if you want to read it further. But according to Psychology Today, these are the top fears worldwide. I did a look at fears worldwide, and then I also narrowed it into what fears Americans are facing. I may do that in a side video. I found it very interesting. So look at the top of the list. So yeah, number one here, fear of death, but it's really around extinction. The term annihilation, ceasing to exist, which you kind of go, okay, same thing, right? Existential death. Many of you struggle with this as well too. Existential death, if you look it up, speaks of a grave sense of your mortality, your sense of, or you can even have a sense of a loss of meaning. It's not just about physical passing. It's like a profound confrontation with your mortality. I don't know what it is, but getting close to, I'm turning 50 next year. And it's like there are these moments that I have often of like when I look online, I see how old like a celebrity's getting or people passing away. And you get this hit of like, wow, getting older, getting closer to that sense of death, which is something, it's a progress all of us are meant to live on and face. Like, I'm not in control. I'm not in control of the end finish line. You know, I'm not in control of when this is all going to end for me. And that's a really great release of control, because we're control freaks and maniacs and how we want to like keep everything in a sense of control. But anyways, that's a top fear there. Second is in the category of mutilation, meaning something happening to your body. It gets into the fear of losing integrity over your body structure. That's kind of like a very heady way of saying like getting an injury, having something happen to your face, your head. So it goes into like fears of animals, like bugs and snakes. And that's why those fears happen. You're afraid of something happening to your physical body, which can also tag into fear of needles. How many of you have fear of needles, fear of blood, or fear of illness? So number 1 and number 2 already these are topics for obsessiveness, for obsessive compulsive cycles right here, all of them. And one of the things I'm going to show you is, in many ways, the apostles faced this. Their life was exposure therapy. They didn't call it that, but that's just what their life was. They faced so many of these things, including being bitten by a snake. Number 3, loss of autonomy. So it's this sense of claustrophobia or entrapment, but it's not just like being locked into a space you can't get out of. It's this feeling of being immobilized or paralyzed or restricted or trapped. It could be physically or just situationally. You can just kind of feel this in life. So it can be like an actual physical thing, or feeling closed in emotionally. The fourth one there is really hits at the heart of where most of our battlegrounds go to, a sense of separation. This is this abandonment, this rejection. This is where the spin out of your salvation OCD, you're standing before God. Many of you writing me questions about heaven, about judgment. What's it going to look like? What am I going to do in heaven? What if I go to heaven and God gets irritated with me and he kicks me out because I'm still goofy? What am I going to do all for eternity? What's that going to be like? I'm spinning out, am I going to be there? Is he going to say, depart from me? I never knew you. Did I commit the unpardonable sin? It's in this area of fear. And the temptation of the fear is to control it, resolve it, answer its question back. Paul never did that. He is actually, so far, he's facing all of these. And then number 5, this is, psychological term they're using here, ego death, meaning a great sense of humiliation and shame. Many of you Gen Zers, this is one that's just hitting you on a daily basis, because you're immersed now in a social forum that's public, and what you post and what you do is filmed, and people's opinions upon you and whatever you post, and the whole world has the opportunity to comment on things you shared, and it's hitting you in so many ways, but it hits all of us. The fear of being humiliated, shamed, or rejected by others. It includes, so here's Jerry Seinfeld's fear that he brought up. It includes the widespread fear of public speaking. It's not the sense of making a mistake. That's not what the fear is pointing to. It's pointing to the social humiliation and rejection. That's not just about how well you did or didn't do. It goes down to your sense of being loved, your sense of belonging. It's your sense of connection. So what I've laid out here is pretty much the spectrum of the battlegrounds of fears that come against you that hit down to the root system. And the premise I'm bringing to you is that you're not alone in this, and the apostles probably faced every single one of these. We could break them down and psychologically look at their journey and say they had to face all of them on a regular basis. I think one of the things that we have to remember in our journey, and this isn't a word of condemnation, it's a word of perspective, is that there is an aspect of my concern about the modern comfort that we live in, because we have so many, that we're now at a point where the life of comfort is working against us, where we've been conditioned that God wants our comfort. He just, no resistance, no difficulty, no trouble, and it gives us an unbiblical perspective of what life is really like. We get so many comforts. Now we look for ease. We look for the absence of resistance, which causes us to be avoidant in a lot of things. And I would say, if I was to look at one of the patterns that does concern me, is how modern culture, how avoidant we are. We're afraid of something. We don't go anywhere near it ever in any way, even to the point we don't even want to talk about it. Some people write to me in code because they can't even type the word of the thing that they're afraid of. or a sense of we have the ability, if something stirs me up or something triggers me, I can set up my life that I don't ever have to deal with it. I see so much in this area, it breaks my heart, of even in families and homes and churches and communities where people don't know how to have conversations with one another. They're afraid of confrontation. They're afraid of bringing something up. So they never bring it up. They never talk about it. Families don't talk. Couples don't talk to each other. Couples, there's such a widespread where couples are actually not talking about matters of the heart because they're afraid to. They're afraid to talk to each other. They're afraid of the shame and the humiliation that's going to hit them. They're afraid of the outcome. And so what it does is it makes us very adverse, is that the word, to resistance, to the sense of like part of our journey is learning this world, you will have trouble. In this world, you're going to have resistance in your life. It's in that you actually face these things because fear gets disempowered the more we face it. So I say this as, let's express gratitude for our comfort. Don't go into the guilt thing. Oh, there's starving people in other countries, and it's not about that. Be grateful for the comforts you have, but don't let it hypnotize you in your theological perspective that life should be easy and everything should just work out for you because you're a Christ follower. I've had to learn this firsthand, that my journey is actually more about, I need to learn to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, in the sense of like waking up and there's a battle going on and things aren't just going to all happen to me. I've got to step into it. I've got to learn day by day, facing my fears layer by layer by layer. Because I want to give you the key of Paul's journey. It's very, very simple. Do you know why Paul was not afraid of death? I'm going to be very practical with this, because he came close to it on so many occasions. From the stoning to shipwreck to the snake bite to the constant persecution, he lived in it with death at his doorstep, the threat of it constantly. How many of you have met somebody who they got sick and it was a terminal illness, but then they got well? Or somebody who had like a massive car accident and they were saved out of it, right? Or in some cases, people that maybe in other countries or things like that, were their faith, they stood for their faith and their life was threatened. What do you notice as a common theme in all their stories? Is that they stepped up to it, faced death. Maybe people who've been sick and they're no longer afraid of death anymore because they got to that threshold. It didn't happen. And what happened? It's like, I'm no longer afraid anymore. I'm going to live my life. And so the truth of this whole fear of death thing is that the apostles we're reading from, they faced it. So what does that mean for you in your own journey, in your application? I want to be very clear with this. This isn't like something you manufacture. In your life, in your own journey, this is really about you simply facing your own fears one layer at a time. This fear of death thing, sometimes people write to me, not sometimes, a lot. This is not something you can think yourself into. Many people get into this place of trying to get their mind into, would I be willing to die for Christ? And they kind of think like, would I, and they search their feelings in an emotional fury to try to feel convinced. Like, okay, I could say it. And I'm going to be just really raw honest with you. We did this a lot in the church. And I would say I was even a part of it. I was under it, this sense where we like try to work up the teen. I remember in youth ministry, we would work up the teenagers. I remember there were some very, very, sad stories of like mass shootings in schools and things like that. And there was this narrative that went along, and it wasn't a good narrative. It wasn't a healthy thing. Where, you'd hear preachers, are you willing, if you were in that situation and they were threatening your life, would you say, I'll stand with Christ? You stand up right now. And kids were like, yeah, we were all like psyching ourselves up into this. It wasn't good. It wasn't healthy. That's not what this is. That's not what this is about. The fear of death is not something that if somebody threatened me as a Christ follower, what would I say? What would I say? You are chasing some kind of out of your control kind of future thing. That's not what this is about. And I'll prove it to you because Peter did it. He said, even Lord, if I have to die with you, I will never deny you. How many of you know this? You've read it in the scriptures. Within hours, he denied him 3 times. Within hours, folks. of saying that magnanimous claim. So if you struggle with the fear of death or the thought of losing your life for being a Christian, this is not something you hype yourself into. It's just going to get you into some kind of existential spiral. No, what God knows is that A, face the fears that you're in right now, one step at a time. And there will be times in your life where you're going to make a stand for your values. You're going to make a stand for Christ. It's not going to be something you have to shout across the rooftops, because there'll come a moment where something will happen and you're going to take a stand that you need to take. And some of you had to do that for your own personal values in your life, or at a workplace that was toxic or dysfunctional, or you had to walk away from a group that you were with or a friendship group because you had to stick to your values. This isn't like some preemptive thing that's going to happen. I'm going to tell you, though, what you don't realize is someday when that pressure comes up, if you keep working on your journey now where you're at, you'll stand in that day. Just stand now where you're at in your battles when you wake up in the morning, and the fear of tomorrow, or the fear of finances, or the fear of spinning out about your standing with Christ, that you work through those, because that prepares you each step of the way. I've seen that in my own life. And as I face my own areas, it helped me more and more and more to position myself to bless and to help others. These guys, they faced it because they went through it. And so Paul stood in that. He also, in verse 22, the first part there, he recognizes, if I live on in the flesh, this will mean fruit from my labor. So basically saying, if I live, I get to participate in fruitful labor. And that's what your labor in Christ is meant to be. It's meant to be fruitful. Notice Paul didn't say, I'm just going to be productive. I got to get big numbers in this. It's just fruitfulness, about life flowing through him to others. And he said, I could die, I could live. And I'm okay with the tension. I'm okay with it. He said in the second part of 22, yet what shall I choose? I cannot tell. For I'm hard pressed between the two. I have a desire to be with Christ, which is far better. I love this picture of him standing in the midst of those two realities. And Paul shows us emotional maturity isn't resolving every option, every inner conflict. It's being able to hold those things, those competing desires, without being paralyzed or destabilized. Paul wanted two things that couldn't both happen. He named it, honestly, laid it out. To me, this is a beautiful picture of him releasing control. I'm not controlling this. I'd love to be with Christ right now. But he recognized within it, I'm focusing on what's beneficial for you right now. Nevertheless, to remain in the flesh is more needful for you, he says. He didn't get lost up in the clouds. He's very grounded in what's important, the relationships he's nurturing, the people that he's blessing. And this is very grounding for you. In your fears, your existential fears, your fear of death, your fear of tomorrow, one of the things that's helpful is to be grounded in the here and now and to be present and blessing the people that are around you. Paul could have acted super spiritual, checked out mentally. Instead, he got more present in his writing and his work to specific people, specific relationships, specific needs. Groundedness in life isn't the absence of a heavenly perspective. It's letting that perspective make you more relationally present. And so that caused him to go, my goal is to help you advance and build joy in your faith. Being confident of this, I know I shall remain and continue with you all for your progress and joy of faith, that your rejoicing for me may be more abundant in Jesus Christ by my coming to you again. It's interesting because our default setting doesn't necessarily go, how can I build joy in these circumstances that are very difficult? It's just not always the default setting. But this was Paul's end goal in his suffering. And it's a theme throughout this book, abounding joy that's growing in the midst of hardship. And the way that Paul was able to do that as he looked out, in his pain, he looked out and he blessed others. And I will tell you, that's one of the most powerful pieces of feedback I could give you in your pain. Because we're tempted in our pain to stare inward and just kind of loathe and just recycle that and ruminate over it. There's something important Paul did where he, in his pain, looked up and looked out. and he used it as leverage to bless people. And I found this in my life over and over again. Bad days, bad hours, bad weeks, bad months, difficult seasons of my life. When I've looked up and out, it gave me leverage. I use that ammunition of the pain. Some of it brings up, it could bring up a sense of anger or a sense of what you see going on in the world, but using that as fuel, not being angry at people, but using that as fuel of like, you know what? I'm going to bless my family, bless other people. That's an important aspect that Paul is showing here and bringing out. He's bringing out that within this, we're connected and I'm blessing you. And joy is our strength here. So that mindset helped him, like Paul and Silas, when they would in prison and they began to praise God. It wasn't necessarily like, we're going to find a way out of prison and we're going to praise our way out. No, it was just like, whether you kill us or whether you don't, we're going to praise him. And in that, they're able to connect to joy. And the joy was not just them praising God, it was also in edifying each other. That's where joy comes from, folks. It's actually just us connecting, being together, getting with other believers cannot be overlooked. And that's why Paul kept emphasizing that. So even in his sense of not feeling comfortable and feeling this resistance and the reality that he could die, he took that and said, I'm here with you. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to bless you. And that's the encouragement I want you to take away from this. Go be the blessing to other people. That if you've been hit with trauma, be a blessing and a listening ear and a help to others who've gone through trauma. You don't have to start a ministry. You don't have to have a YouTube channel. You don't have to write books. Some of that gets overrated, to be honest. It's more just being available and being a blessing to look out, because our temptation and our problems is to look in. Paul looked up and he looked out. He didn't deny his inner world, his inner struggle. He didn't pretend it wasn't there. And everything got used to bless other people. So I encourage you, take on that mindset. And Father, I pray that this would challenge us, strengthen us in the core of our hearts, because these guys were able to overcome because they went through stuff that taught them. It's in the trenches that we learn. And while many listening to this are not imprisoned, they may not or may not be threatened for their faith, who knows? But they're dealing with all kinds of opposition and resistance. We've been given this template so that it can help us to live with a divine perspective. And God, help us use it to bless other people. Take everything that I've been through, everything I'm going through, everything that I'm still navigating through, and use it to bless my brothers and sisters. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Right on. So we're going to take a quick break and be back. You know, I think I want to play this one. I haven't played it in a while. It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It's the stash that he has. I like it.
You have anything you need to share?
I do, sir. From Spider Dan.
Right on.
Spider Dan, thank you for your super chat. Just finished. I think this is God Loves Me and I Love Myself. Really learning how to be my own best friend and seeing myself as God does. Thank you so much.
I don't.
How do I learn to laugh more? Well, sir, we love to laugh. Tune into our broadcasts.
Yeah. Listen to my comedy. And I mean, I think it's like, it's different for everybody. Everybody has a different sense of humor. But when laughter is available, join in with it. Because it's just, especially when you're down, we resist it. Like, it's like, when you get grumpy. So be open to it when it shows up. That's what I say. And get around people that are funny. It's tough for me, like, connecting like at a deeper level with somebody who doesn't have a sense of humor. Like, you got to be able to.
Yeah.
That was a big thing in our relationship.
Yes.
It's like, do you laugh at stuff?
Yeah. I never understood couples. You would meet them and they had completely different views on what is funny.
That's yeah.
I honestly do not understand that, how you could be married to someone where you have completely opposite, where you're like, yeah, no, that's not funny. How do you watch TV? How do you watch movies?
I could see it.
No, I know it goes on. I'm just saying, how are you?
No, I'm saying I could see it working. I could see
Really?
it. Yes. And here's why.
Okay.
When you truly love someone, you start to delight in some of the things that you maybe wouldn't have thought were funny or interesting.
Okay, that's if you work at that, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think most people do, I guess is my point. They're like, yeah,
Right.
so-and-so's off watching their show. I don't want to bother. They don't come together in these things. So
Right.
you and I are the kind of people, we do have our shows that you'll watch or whatever, but mostly we like to have the same sense of humor.
Yeah. It really, it helps, but it's also like, sometimes you can actually come together and appreciate. Like, there are certain things you may find, like, you'll show me something and you are dying laughing.
Like tears down my face.
Right. And you'll send it to me. And I'm like,
you don't think it's as funny.
Right. But I'll participate in it because you think it's funny.
Right. But for the most part, I would say, I mean, I'm going to give a percentage. I think like 80%.
She's giving numbers.
I think we about 80% we find the same things funny.
Oh, I would put it higher. I'd say 90. That's my opinion.
I was trying to be a little conservative about it, but okay.
Yeah. We do laugh about a lot of the same stuff. Yeah. That was important to me. That was important to me though, because, well, this is a window to my getting married journey. I wasn't interested in like the stereotypical pastor's wife. I'd be like, I don't want some lady who's going to be playing the piano and singing and like that. We're going to do that kind of.
I was not that wife.
Yeah.
I would maybe be playfully playing the piano and laughing.
Yeah. I wasn't.
That wasn't, you and I weren't going to be a team in that way.
No, I wasn't interested in that.
No.
It never impressed me. And a lot of, and maybe it's because of the bad experience I had where it was like, oh my goodness.
She was like, clink, 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 clink.
Yeah. And the two of them were like, we are ministry robots and we do this thing. Let's praise the Lord. Let's praise the Lord.
No, I can't. Okay. Sabrina Susan, by the way, honey, I got your note and thank you so much. I love handwritten notes. Thank you. I got it like a couple weeks ago and I think I messaged you in the thing and to say thank you. I love it. Anyway, she said her dad is super goofy and her mom is not entertained. And I would think a lot of people, I do think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah. They need the Maximus, are you not entertained?
Yeah. You have to lean into the fun.
Yeah.
You have helped me with that because there were times where I'm like.
Right. See what I'm saying?
But because you and I find like a lot of the same things that are funny and we work at things, you've helped me not be so serious in a lot of things. But I do like to laugh, so that does help.
Yeah. All right, let me get into some questions and we'll see where this goes.
Okay.
This one's about boundaries with parents that were not good parents and trying to figure out how to have boundaries with them. I've never been able to get a definitive answer from pastors, counselors, or other believers. How many did you ask? What am I supposed to do with parental relationships, mom and dad, which I experienced trauma from? This, just so you know, this kind of question probably needs some therapeutic counsel kind of talking through this. So what I'm going to share and give feedback, because when people say trauma, like, okay, what kind of stuff happened? Now you share a bit of it. He said, my dad was a pastor who physically and verbally abused my mom. And my heart goes out to you in that, because that already brings up developmental like dissonance, where as you're growing up, there's a stage dad and then there's home dad, which is very, very different. So many pastors' kids grew up with that, or even parents who were involved in ministry. And you said, I had to pretend like it never happened at church for many years. My mom treated me like her counselor and friend and violated my boundaries. So there's like the enmeshment that goes on there that's unhealthy, patterns of codependency, all that kind of stuff that you're going to probably have to work on and entangling yourself from. It takes time. That's not going to happen overnight. This was your upbringing. This was how bonds were formed from a very young age, telling me explicit adult problems she and my father had. Yeah, so she violated your boundaries left and right, and violated the relationship of parent to child, because you weren't meant to ever counsel your mother or your father, ever. Mm-hmm. And I tell you that to adult children, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. You are not called to counsel your parents, ever. Just let that sit for a second. Ever. Yeah, but what if they're struggling in this and maybe I could win the, no, you're Amen. Never, ever are you ever called to ever be a counselor to your parents. Ever. Now, many of us have fallen into that. We've been pulled into that. I've had my share of that. It's not of God. It's not healthy. No. Okay. I think I made that clear. Because there's so many, but what about, but I about this, but maybe I can win them to Christ. I can win them. Yeah. No. So that's kind of boundary number one. I've not had a healthy relationship with him ever and felt tremendous hurt. However, since we're all Christians, I don't care that your dad's a pastor. I don't care that he's a Christian. That doesn't. The ungodly behavior is ungodly behavior. So even the Christian label, that's going to bring in guilt. It's like that doesn't change the narrative. But for you, I understand it feels so guilty not answering their calls or solving their issues. I have never had a healthy daughter relationship with them, so I've struggled with my relationship with God. So is it okay not to answer, to keep my distance? They seek me though, but don't understand how they hurt me and never apologize. Yeah, the journey is going to be a road that you're going to have to let yourself go on. You're going to struggle with guilt whenever they call, not answering their phone calls, or whatever boundaries you make. You're going to struggle with guilt. You're going to struggle with the sense of feeling like you need to convince them of what they did. And if you haven't already had those fruitful kind of conversations, you're going to need to let that go. And I encourage a lot of you. You're going to have to let go when you're coming out of codependency, enmeshment, complex trauma, all those things. Keep this in mind, because you may not be able to receive this right now, but you have to let go of trying to talk to your parents to help them understand the goofy, unhealthy patterns of their parenting. Like when you really start to let that go, you're going to find helpful avenues, whether it's books you read, places you go for counsel, helpful resources, and new practices. The better you'll be able to find those and walk them out. But many times people, they gain insight and then they go back to their parents to try to help explain to them, see, this is what I went through. And it's a trap to do that. So you got to release trying to convince your parents, try to be a counselor to your parents. So within that, probably the reason why the church has been a struggle, because the church's common response is, well, just forgive and forget. And if you still feel messed up, then you haven't forgiven. It's a very dysfunctional, goofy tie that we've made in. If you're still in pain, it means you haven't forgiven. And we've taught people, if you forgive, it wipes away all the pain. It's just not true. It's just not true. It's a big part of the journey. But we treat it as a silver bullet, that if you forgive, you never remember it, or it should never bother you. It's just such a immature perspective on how things work and how healing works. But when it comes to boundaries, let me give you a sense of boundaries. I'll give you 4 of them, okay? And I jotted these down in case I forget. But when you look at boundaries, like I talk about intrusive thoughts, like the volume coming down, look at boundaries that way. It's more like a volume tuning. Sometimes you lower it. Sometimes it just needs to be tuned off. 4 of them I'm going to give to you. The first one, it's sometimes called the gray rock. What's a gray rock? A gray rock sits there, and it's amongst a bunch of other rocks. It doesn't like super stand out. It's just there, right? We could call it the Bob Ross rock. We're just going to put a rock right there and paint that rock right there. Wherever you want that rock, go ahead and paint that rock. By the way, I love the people that email me that they relax watching Bob Ross. It's like awesome. I would love playing his clips in our show if I wasn't concerned it would be, copyright pulled. But how do you be a gray rock? You stop sharing your inner life. Like this is not where you're going to do it. With dysfunctional, unhealed, they're not the only people you can share that is sometimes with good enough parents you can. But once you become an adult, if there hasn't been that environment that's been built in the home of healthy sharing, don't expect it to all of a sudden show up now, because you're working on yourself. They're not. You have to recognize that. But like a gray rock is like you stop sharing those beautiful pearls within your heart. You stop, you act more like you would to a coworker. That's like you're friendly, right? So you kind of talk about the weather and this and that. And then when the fiery subjects come up, you kind of let them pass by. You practice what I've been teaching many of you to practice in your own thoughts with intrusive thoughts. You almost treat people as intrusive people, if that makes sense, right? Kind of you just watch them, you observe them. This takes practice because your upbringing will pull you in to like either fix or explain, okay? A second boundary you can consider, gray rock is one level. Second level is you engage when it's functional. Now, people that, like, for example, who go through divorce, they have to do this, right? If they have children, I should say, if they have children, they kind of still, do the co-parenting thing, have to show up to the baseball games, and they show, hi, how are you? Yeah, right? It's functional. Or like there's certain holidays or certain family things, or is there a certain family member that you're all going to be at something or seeing? And that's a boundary. Like I can go do this, I can go to that event, right? A third one is more of a structured boundary, which like I can come to this event. I have something afterwards I have to go to, but I can go here, right? A certain amount of time, certain location. It's great. You don't be a jerk about it. You don't be rude about it. You do your best to try to be reasonable with it. It doesn't mean people are going to be reasonable back with you. And the fourth boundary is more in the realm of a hard stop, of like no contact. Some people need to do this for a season just because it's just overwhelmingly impossible to interact and function. I've seen it in season where there's been like a window of time. I'm not saying you set a window of time that you know how long, but you're just like, right now, I just can't right now. And some people have had to just, no, it's very sad, but there are situations where it's like absolutely just evil. And they've had to just move on. They've tried everything they can to be reasonable, have discussions, and it's just going nowhere. And usually it involves a parent that's a narcissist, or a narcissist / a addict that's not working on anything and is destroying the family and is not willing to work on themselves. And so in that area, now I see a lot of Christians, they push back, everyone's jumping to no contact. I get that too. There can always be extremes where people like their hair trigger, no contact. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody they're working their journey, trying to be reasonable. And through that, they've had to go, I can't do this anymore. So those are some feedback I can give as far as boundaries and working through it. But really at the end of the day too, it's helpful to get counsel where you can talk through the dynamics and where things are and step by step work through that. So anyways, blessings. This question's about, it's like obsession over not getting a certain level of attention. Hello, Sir Mark. Are you okay? Well, I hope you are. I'm okay. Are you concerned about me? Are you okay? I hope you're okay. I wanted to ask for a bit of guidance about something I've been struggling with. I believe you've covered topics like attention seeking before, but I was hoping to get some extra, in all caps, help for my specific situation. I can see the obsessive compulsive signals coming up. I've noticed that I tend to struggle with jealous and envious thoughts when I feel like I'm not being seen or getting attention. Sometimes these feelings get so strong, I literally have to stop and pray for God to take them away. Well, first tip, stop praying for God to take away emotions. I encourage all Christians, stop asking God, take away a feeling. We are not robots. He's not going to hit a button and just vanish it. It's not how this works. What we're asking God for is strength in how to react to our emotions. So change your prayer to a more effective place. God, help me to have the strength to work through this. Because most likely what happens is when you don't feel noticed or seen or validated, which is a major trigger for a lot of people, by the way. And I have my own areas of this that I've had to work through. So, and especially when it becomes obsessive, it takes you over, like consumes you. People are not paying attention to you. They're ignoring you, just kind of treating you as an afterthought. There's so much of that in our world, right? But it triggers this obsessiveness. So then you say you have to stop and you ask God to take them away. We're going to change that prayer because God's not, he's not some taskmaster puppeteer that's going to come in and just change your thoughts. But he'll give you strength. Just ask him for strength. He'll give you strength. And I'll tell you what you're going to need strength for. Even then, I still find myself wrestling with them. When I feel ignored or unnoticed, my mind goes into a complete ugly direction. I get angry and start having negative thoughts about other people and even about myself. Yeah, you're getting a rejection trigger that's happening. I've written a whole book about that. It's a rejection trigger that's hit. A lot of times our rejection wounds go back to history. They go back to our upbringing. Of areas where we weren't validated, we weren't seen, we weren't affirmed, we weren't told we were loved, we weren't shown love, etc., etc., etc. And so those areas become breeding grounds. So for you, if you're in maybe a social setting and you're being ignored, if you're talking to somebody and they're not listening to you, it could trigger this. Okay. You start spinning in the anger, and then you have angry thoughts about those people. Yeah, the rejection's going to go that way. To be honest, I hate how immature it makes me look. Okay, so stop hating on yourself though, and look at yourself with compassion, because there's healing here. Wanting attention or to be seen makes me feel like a desperate loser. You see how you're going hard on yourself here? That's not going to do anything. It's not going to do you any good. We got to look at this with compassionate grace. Okay, because this is like pointing to wounds of your heart. I never thought I would be the type of person who struggles with wanting attention this much, but here I am dealing with it. Now, there's a place of sobriety we have to come to where people who are needy, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way, like needy in the sense of like there's just a big hole in your heart, but it can become a vacuum. Where now it sucks on people. It demands on people. We need people to be something for us. So beware of that intensity of you pulling on expectation. We want to lighten that a bit. We want to take people off the hook of having to like be something so intensely tuned into us. Give people the benefit. All right, I'm going to take the pressure off of others, right? Because if we don't, we're going to get blinded by that. That's all we're going to see. And, when they talk about blinding rage, that's what's going to kick up that kind of anger. So I never thought I would deal with this type of thing, but here I am. So I'm just wondering if there's a way I can suppress these ugly emotions. No, this is not about suppression. You might be new to my materials too, because I talk about suppression and how that's not what we do with our emotions. It's not suppression, it's letting them go through us. What I want to encourage you to do is I want to encourage you not to compulsively act on reacting to this. You feel it, you feel that emotion, and you notice it. Okay, I'm feeling ignored right now. I'm not going to act on this anger or irritability. I'm going to let it wash through. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of time to let this breathe through me right now. You might be in a social setting or wherever you are. You don't have to run out of the building. Although if you feel like you're at DEFCON levels, maybe go to the restroom for a moment, take a few deep breaths. God, you're with me. You love me. I'm feeling it right now. I'm feeling unloved. I'm feeling unheard. And it's okay. And look at yourself in the mirror and go, it's okay that I'm feeling this right now. It's all right. It's all right. I got some woundedness kicking up. It's all right. I feel it, but it doesn't have to own me today. So I'm not going to do anything I do, argue with it, fight it, feed those thoughts about all these dirty, rotten people. I'm going to go back in there and I'm going to redirect my attention to the social event. And if somebody is truly being rude in a way, or they're really hurting me in some way, then, but I got to let the emotion work its way through, because otherwise that's going to take over and you're going to come at this all hyped up. Let the emotion wash through, and then you go, hey, I was trying to talk to you and I felt like you weren't hearing me. And they might go, oh, my bad, I wasn't meaning to. But you deal with it better. We have to deal with the obsessive side of our emotions, because otherwise the obsessive aspect of our emotions is going to take over. And in fact, I'll get into, speaking of emotions, I'm going to get into talking about borderline personality and religious OCD. I want to get some feedback on this, because I do get questions about this, and have observed this pattern, and I feel pretty confident in some of the nuance of what goes on with this. But this person struggles with both OCD and borderline personality disorder issues. Now, Mark, I have a question. I've been dealing with OCD, the type that you talk about, for over 20-something years. I also have borderline personality disorder. I also have detachment disorder and complex PTSD. I know there's a lot of things titles and stuff like that. I got you. I'm with you in what you're asking. My question is, how do I work on getting free when I deal with all these combinations of mental health issues and I'm not on medication because it never worked? I have not found anything, but the problem is religious OCD. And this is one giant run-on sentence. So it would help me if y'all just look over what you write. I think a lot of you write it from your phone and you just talk it in. Because that's what this looks like. It looks like there's a big talk in. It's like I'm reading Ephesians, because that's what Paul did. It was a bunch of run-on sentences. The biggest problem, I'm dealing with blasphemous thoughts, prideful thoughts, and I'm tormented day and out to the point where I want to give up and walk away because I feel like God's mad at me. He's not mad at you. And I'm struggling surrendering. That's another OCD thing. I don't know how to do this. I'm very frustrated with myself to the point I get suicidal thoughts. Yeah, because this stuff is like, the suicidal thoughts are part of the intrusive thoughts, which are also wearing yourself out. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster ride. My life is all over the place. I feel like God is mad at me. Yeah, you can keep saying God's mad at you all that you want, but he's not mad at you. So there's hope for you today. And I feel like I'm going to go to hell and be left behind, all this stuff. Okay, so with OCD and a borderline thing, what I would want to encourage, and again, I'm not trying to replace any mental health professional, blah, 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 disclaimer. But I feel like within those two together, I'm looking at the mood. Because OCDers get taken out by their emotions, right? You get in a storm of anxiousness, a storm of guilt. Whatever it is, it's an emotional storm in OCD. For somebody with borderline, they're in a regular hour-by-hour emotional storm of up and down, upheaval. Borderline strugglers have very, very deep abandonment fears. It's the greatest fear, and it screams at them constantly. So borderline differs from bipolar, because bipolar is like you have a mood issue that can vary more in like days. With someone borderline, it's like hour by hour. It's fluctuating. Now, OCDers can feel like they're hour by hour struggling. They go, oh, I have borderline. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But to me, the place that is that I center in on is emotional safety and how you respond to your moods and how you react to your mood changes. I found, just for me, in researching and looking at dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's a lot of looking at how to relate to your emotions over and over again, and just new practices. And when I read through that material and was going through the research and evidence, I cannot help but feel, and this is just me, brother from another mother, talking, I cannot feel that that's beneficial as well as OCDers, because it's all like navigating your emotions without them taking you away. So a borderline needs to know how to not be victim to your emotional changes. So does an OCDer. And I've worked with some, And you've seen some progress in it, but it's a real rolling up your sleeves kind of thing, because you have to realize where your moods take you. You know, the swing, like, I need you to be with me. Don't leave me. And then fury, how dare you, right? It's all the abandonment thing that's pushing the highs and lows. It's really deep rejection. It's often complex trauma and a lot of neglect that's in there, where they just don't feel loved and feel safe. So they're constantly looking outwardly, grabbing. And so I think anything that you could get, a resource or practice, it's not the emotion you feel, it's how you respond to it. And anything you can get, and I found that, I found the DBT stuff that you can order manuals on Amazon for it, and they have workbooks you work through. And don't overlook that stuff and go, whatever, how do I feel? What does it mean? No, we actually need that. And I think the majority of people I interact and talk with, whether it's in regular life or people asking for help, we have not been equipped in how to deal with our emotions. We don't even know how to name emotions, folks. I've even said it in my videos. We only know, what's the three emotions? Happy,
mad or anger.
Happy. It's not even angry.
Yeah,
It's not even angry. It's pissed off. That's actually in the research. Yeah. Hold on a second. What are the three? I keep forgetting them. Bear with me, folks. Sometimes my memory is just not great. Revealed in study. I don't even think no, that's not it. There was a study that was recently done. If somebody in the comments remembers, I've said it in my own broadcast, and I can't remember. My mind is just not helping me right now. Anyways, we can't even. The third one was anger, but in the research, it was written pissed off. It's like they couldn't even say I'm angry.
Right.
So God made us emotional. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emotions, and so we don't even know what we're feeling. We're just wanting to get rid of whatever we're feeling because we're uncomfortable, and so it's so healthy to get equipping on what is it I'm feeling. Okay, what does it mean to me right now? And sometimes that interpreter gets in, and it's leading you in the wrong direction.
Happy, sad, and pissed off.
Thank you.
Thanks, Spider Dan.
Yeah, that's not a fruitful way in life to live. Happy, sad, and pissed off. That is what it is. What they named in the research study. So being equipped on like knowing like, what does I feel? I feel sad. Now for this person, I feel sad. Here's the interpretation. You committed the unpardonable sin. It's because of the blasphemous thoughts. No. Maybe you're just sad because you're just sad. Maybe you just had a long week. Maybe you're just dealing with a lot of stuff. Maybe, right? So we have to learn how to and OCDers have a very difficult time interpreting their feelings. They might be able to name them, but their interpretation goes right into whatever their disturbance is. Try it, whatever you're disturbed about. If you feel like you're not saved, you feel like you're standing before God is compromised, you feel like you're a sexual deviant because you have intrusive thoughts about it, you think you are going to get a disease, you fear death, you fear these things. So let's say you fear death. You're going through your day, and all of a sudden you feel stressed, and you feel anxious. What's this all about? Right? Because I'm going to die. It's going to pick up on whatever your theme is and place that in. And we need a deeper understanding of reinterpreting the emotions we're going through. And sometimes, too, healthy interpretation is, you know what? I'm sad, and I'm just sad, and it's okay. I don't have to interpret this right now. Sometimes that's actually good level maturity you're walking into. If I feel anxious today, I'm not sure why, and that's okay. Nothing's coming to me right now, and I can leave that as it is. But anyways, whether it's OCD or whether it's borderline, I think it's so valuable for believers to learn to be coached, whether it's through a book or through counseling, but even in your day-to-day practice, react compassionately. Become a compassionate witness to yourself. Watch your emotions work through. You don't have to react to everything, because that's part of emotional maturity is our reactivity. We become super needy and we request people to be something for us. We try too hard. We do too much. We swing, or then we get furious about people, get angry. It's not really about them. It's our history. It's our struggles. It's the stuff that's happened to us in the past. And so like if that's speaking to you, then begin opening up your heart for more avenues of getting help in that area. I pray that blesses, pray that helps. What do you got over there, my love? Any thoughts?
I do, but my
any
computer just went wonky, so I'm just trying to refresh it.
All right, well, I'll go. How about I do another one while your computer gets unwonkied?
Please do, sir. Thank you.
This sister is frozen in indecisiveness about getting surgery. Thank you, Mark, for all you do. It's a blessing to me. You've answered one question for me recently about physical pain when it seemed God doesn't heal. I understand that the real problem is not understanding the Father's love for me and fear he won't take care of me. I have AFib, chronic venous insufficiency, Raynaud's, migraine, psoriatic arthritis. My mindset has unfortunately been shaped a lot by prosperity gospel and spiritual abuse. Yeah, I think I mentioned that to you in the question that you had before. I talked a lot about that. I struggle to make important decisions and sometimes become frozen with indecision. I had vein surgery on one leg with a terrible doctor who was rough and uncaring, like that show Dr. House. Okay. I'm getting the imagery here.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, that guy did such a fantastic American accent.
Right.
You find out that he was British.
Crazy.
Tremendous job talking like an American.
He's a great actor, but I feel like that he's the same thing. Like, I don't know. I just see Dr. House. I don't know.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
She did not wait for the numbing to take effect before inserting the catheter in my vein.
No, stop it.
Which,
nope.
Which caused...
no. Mm-mm. Stop right now. I need a minute.
I'm trying to read the question.
Woo.
She did not stop until I was bawling hysterically and asking for my husband. Okay, so we have some trauma here. I'm not normally afraid of procedures and have tattoos, so needles don't bother me. A few months later, I went for a second opinion, and he's nice. He's a nice doctor. I have been avoiding surgery for over a year because I'm terrified. Yeah, some of that I understand, especially with your past experience. Now I have to start the whole process over with a consult and ultrasound. I've been praying to make the right decision. Yeah, that's the thing that Christians do with our fears, with our traumas, and with our areas of uncertainty. We ask for God to make the right decision. And then that right decision gets into like his will. And then we want like your will, what's your plan? And that gets us in this loop that becomes counterproductive. It just keeps us immobilized from just taking a step. So what is God's will? Surgery or no surgery? Yeah, I've talked about God's will and that we need a lot of reteaching about that whole topic. With that, Christians, if you ask them, what does God's will look like? Well, today that I make the right decision, I do the right thing. I buy this, I don't buy that. I move here and I don't move here. It's a distorted presentation of what God's will actually looks like. And so this becomes very, very strong ground for the obsessor to kick in. And you said, I know it's OCD, scrupulosity, and intense fear. This is only one example of many I could give about fear. I did nothing at first, hoping God will heal me. Yeah, so you did nothing at first, hoping God will heal you. I got to cut through that, though. That's your avoidance kicking up. And I'm not saying you shouldn't ask God to heal you, but it's like behind the healing, it's like, I don't want to deal with this, so just heal me. It's okay. We all have these things that we go through. But so far, it's gotten progressively worse. I've been in pain for 2 years. There are no guarantees with the surgery. It helps some people and others not so much. I would happily pay if I knew it could help. I am beginning to think I'm living the definition of insanity by doing the same thing and expecting different results. That's my philosophy on that, by the way, that they say insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. I think that it does cause us to lose context. I believe, and this is shown true in most of our lives, you often have to go around the mountain a bunch of times until you make an empowered decision. Right? Nobody lives life just on each thing. Like we often go around the mountain, we kind of do the same thing a bunch of times. But if you're grace-minded, everything's learning, and you learn and go, okay, you know what? And I think in this situation, you've got some past stuff, whether recovering from bad teaching, then you had a traumatic experience. It's normally you have the fear, But there does come a point in time where we go, okay, I need to make a decision. The problem is we do the God thing. We're like kind of throwing our finger up at the wind. Then we need confirmations. We need some mystical thing or a sign on the wall. No, you have the ability to make a decision. This isn't about God's will, not God's will. You have the ability to make a decision. I think if we talked about if fear wasn't in the equation, it'd probably clear things up. I'm beginning to think I'm living the definition of insanity. How do I pray and include God in my decision, but not let it stop me from making decisions? We'll do this right now, okay? It's not some, like you got to go off and pray, God, I bring you into my decision. He's here. He's with you, okay? God, give me the strength to step forward through this fear and walk through and make a decision. That's going to be the more empowering place. Make a decision. If you wanted to hear like, what is heaven saying? It's actually, if you want a word from God, it's just more like, just make a decision.
Right.
You know, we're kind of doing this thing of like, God, should I name this a zebra? I don't do it. Name the animals. You know, you have the ability to make a decision. You have liberty in your journey to make decision. The problem is because of our pain and fears in our history, it's enslaved us. So when we go to God, we're asking him for every little thing, thinking we're seeking him for his will, but we're not realizing the freedom we've been given. So we're asking for a slave master, and God's not a slave master. I'm afraid of making God mad at me. There you go. There you go. I'm reminded of King Asa and want to be in God's will. Yeah, we're like throwing a bunch of stuff at it. The dilemma today is the fear over God's will is really the fear of failure, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of it not working out. We merge that together. If you're in God's will, everything will just work out. If you're in God's will, these things will just work out nice. If you're in God's will, you won't make mistakes. Not true. Because everybody in the Bible made mistakes. All of them. All of them. Everybody stumbled. Everybody goofed up. Everybody made decisions, didn't work out, and then they modified. You are free to make a choice, make a decision. So my encouragement to you is to make a decision and step forward, but I won't tell you what the right decision is or get into that or tell you surgery or no surgery. I think it's just more make the decision. Decide. If we want to understand that, it's really that. And really what our issue is fear. Afraid of it not working out, afraid of something happening. And God is promising he'll be with us in all the steps. We want him to promise that everything's going to work out just fine and I'll be okay. No, he's going to be with you in it. And that's really the most important thing. Were you able to get your
I did, Boo.
settings okay?
First of all, welcome Rob Price to the Heart Healing Overcomer community.
Yeah, it's
and great. Judy Williams says, I appreciate all that you both do. So glad I found your site. Thank you, Judy.
That's awesome.
Okay, and Spare is the name. Our son is 15. We've struggled with him using drugs the last few years. We've tried everything from showing grace, counseling, to long groundings, and nothing works. He shows all the signs of ODD. We don't know what else to do.
So you're asking a counseling question that would take time to unwind. My one piece of feedback is reframe nothing works. That's a mental thing that people say. It blocks their brain from discovering new possibilities. If I say, for whatever, I tried everything and nothing works. What I've done is I've shut my mind down for nuance, for other options. What it also does too is it makes everything I've done meaning useless because I'm not seeing immediate fruit, you know. But the ODD, that's the oppositional defiance disorder. It's like an inflamed rebellion kind of thing. I would look at where's his bond of connection. All stuff with how old is he?
15.
15. Whenever I'd work with teenagers, I never dealt with the issue. I just develop a bond. I remember, I'll never forget, one time I was called into a church and it was kind of one of those churches that, like, you know, they want me to work miracles in 20 minutes. And this grandmother had brought her grandson who's having a lot of problems, getting in the wrong gang, wrong crowd, everything like that. And I'm sitting there in a church basement, and he comes in, and it's me and him. And they're like, okay, what time do I come back and pick him up? And so I started talking with him, and he was just like locked up. And I'm like, were you forced to be here? And I go, you know what? I don't really like it down here. It's kind of stuffy. Can we go outside? Do you mind? Can we just go outside for a little bit? So we just went outside and walked out of the church property and just walked around. And I asked him what he's interested in. I said, what are you interested in? He's interested in video games. Oh, yeah? Kind of one of those kids that just, locks himself in his room, plays video games all day, right? Nothing wrong with the video games. I don't get hung up on video games, but I'm looking at the sense of disconnection. This kid's had no connection. Where's the bond? I'm not saying this, whoever this person is, what they're writing. We have to look at the bond in everything with children. Where's the bond? And many parents, spiral because they go, oh, his father was too busy at work, or we weren't there, or we were too busy. No condemnation. Now's the time. Today's the day. God's a God of renewal, right? Of just recognizing how to develop. All change happens out of a bond.
Yeah.
So something within him is firing up out of a lack of bond, because that's where everything forms out of. And so when that's there, a sense of rejection forms. And with rejection, it can fuel opposition, stubbornness, rebellion. And even parents that are present and loving, you can see this stuff kick up in these teenage years, right? It's that war that's going on. It's the war of connection. So as a father, I would be looking, number one, if either of my kids were showing those signs, I would go, okay, how do I develop the bond? Be strategic. And the bond would be me entering their world, not them entering my world. So for that kid I was talking to, an example like that, I would, if I continued, working with him, I would go play video games. I used to tell moms would bring in, their problematic kids. And I'm like, he just plays video games all day. And her assignment I would give her, I want you to go and I want you to watch him play video games and ask him how the video games work. But they're ungodly. And I'm like, get over yourself. Okay, yes, he's sitting there shooting zombies or whatever. Get in there and get to know. And grab the controller and play yourself. Play in the game and be involved in it. Enter their world. It's what Jesus did with us. Emmanuel, God with us. He came into our world. And so to me, it's the number one thing that can help parenting. It's not a magic bullet, but it begins the road of recovery of what's needed. Every teenager has a massive area in their heart to be loved, to be seen, to bond, but they're not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you what I really need. What I really need is love right now. I'm not going to tell you that. They probably never tell you that till maybe they're 30 if they start, having their own kids and they realize what they needed all along. Teenage language is you have to enter.
Trial and error too.
Yeah. Big time. Big time. With our kids, and they're both wired very differently, but it's just showing interest in their world and what they're interested in and finding time to listen and hear that. That would be the first thing that I would do. It's whatever he's into, enter into it. And let that be a place of conversation and listen. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. He says something weird or something. Hold the line. Like Maximus said, hold the line. Stay with me, right? Just hold through, right? Because you develop bond, and the bond is developed trust. The Bible says, I learned to trust on my mother's breast. That's that bond developed trust. And out of trust, everything flows, right? If it's not there, ask God for help. Help me to have thoughts where I can build a sense of healthy connection here.
Yeah.
And
when you add addictions in there too, and where he may run to drugs to not want to connect,
right?
We know that it's difficult, so we're we're not minimizing that at all.
And
when you add drugs into the situation.
when you add drugs, and if there's addictions involved and all that, certainly. So, like I said, I'm addressing something that needs counsel, that needs some time processing through, but don't go, nothing's working, because it's going to make everything you did is for nothing. And it's going to block your mind. Maybe it's just little adjustments. Yeah. keep everyone. I encourage everyone to get out of their vocabulary. Nothing's working. I've done everything. Nothing's working. When you catch yourself saying that, and this isn't like a word of faith, like don't say it, don't claim it.
Right.
No, it's not what I'm saying. It's like get rid of that as a way of communicating because it blocks you from maybe discovering something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I have one more.
Yeah.
This is from #private. That's a clever screen name. Okay. I feel stuck because every time I find something that helps me, it turns into a compulsion and I can't move forward. I also learned that our brain can't erase the old reactions, so it will come back every time I'm struggling.
What the last part of what you said isn't necessarily true. A pattern gets removed in your mind when it's overwritten. Kind of think about it like a hard drive. Like when you delete a file on a hard drive, technically it's not deleted. That scares people. Not really deleted. It needs to be overwritten by something else. The same thing with your mind. A thought pattern. We're very conditioned beings, right? Like things happen, like you do this, you wake up in the morning, you do this, you kind of, we call it unconscious thought. Like everything moves into automatic pilot. When you start to confront something, you bring it to the surface and go, want to change this. It needs like a renewal that comes over it. That part. What was the first part of the question?
Every time I find something that helps me, it turns into a compulsion and I can't move forward.
Yeah. So you have to notice that. Okay. You find something new that's helpful. It's like somebody says, oh man, this thing about the love of God, I'm going to start every day praying, God, thank you for your love as a father, my father, and you love me. And then they're like compulsive about it. And every time, then they use that. Yeah, that could happen. So you catch yourself doing that and you gently redirect. Okay. I'm doing this to try to make myself feel better. And you redirect. So don't condemn yourself in it though. You're learning. You're trying to practice and you're learning.
I have one more.
Oh, right.
Okay. Hi, Linda. Thank you for your super chat. Would you explain a struggle to surrender as OCD?
Usually. Yeah. I mean, like there's like concepts of like in addiction recovery, they talk about surrendering from the sense of like, I got to stop my lifestyle that's keeping me in my addict behavior. So I got to surrender to God, right? To the process. But most of the time in the church, that surrender thing gets used in a way that's it's not even biblical. It goes into things you feel you need to let go of. So then God will be okay with you. Right? From the sense of like, oh, I like golfing. I got to surrender that because then God will work in my life. That kind of thing. All right. I'm going to do one more question.
Thanks, Boo.
I got a 68-year-old brother from another mother. He's a pastor. And I always have a special spot in my heart for pastors. And he's 68 years old. He's bivocational and master's in theology from Dallas Theological Seminary. I know the scriptures. I believe them to be the inherent word of God. I've put my trust in the finished work of Jesus, and I love him. But I constantly struggle with condemnation, wondering if my past sin has separated me from God. No, you're a believer in Christ Jesus. But I could tell you that over and over again. Other people have, and your seminary books could tell you that too. But you've got an OCD issue that accuses you. I called on the Lord for salvation at age of 12. I was never discipled and knew I was not supposed to sin, but I did anyway for years. God brought me back in my early 20s. So when people say that, I always wondered, did you really disconnect? I always wonder that when people are like, I was serving the Lord, I gave my life to Christ, but then I fell away and then now I'm back. So what it does is it equates you were disconnected from God when you weren't behaving right. I challenge that mindset with people. I just do. I understand what you're saying. I understand what people are communicating. But when people say I fell away, was kind of doing my own thing, okay, so God was like, well, you're going down this path. Well, I guess our covenant's broken. I'm out of here. You know, when we're faithless, he's still faithful. I get it. You know, people, the Bible does talk about people, you know, walking away. There's a hardness of the heart and a decision of walking away, wanting nothing to do with God. But many people in the obsessive world put them in that situation. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. So I just, brother, that's one of the things I look at your narrative and I go, were you struggling? But yeah, God was still there. The Lord was still there. Even though you said, God brought me back. And I understand the language you're using. Again, I'm just looking at words on a page here. I'm just trying to bring out some perspective. And I fell head over heels in love with Jesus, which is awesome, wonderful. And I think too, a lot of this is development. You get saved at age of 12. You're in the midst of like puberty, hormonal changes. And so then in your 20s, it like kind of becomes more firmly rooted. That's the way that I see that. I don't know, you know, I don't know your life and everything. But you became more like, I'm going to take my faith seriously in a good sense. Years later, a preacher convinced me that I had never really been saved since I lived in a season of sin after I came to Christ. Yeah, preachers do that kind of stuff. You know, they want to put their like stamp of approval or disapproval, not based on anything clear, but on just something they're just throwing at you. He said that was in 1985. I've struggled with this ever since. I'm 68. Is there time enough left for me to get well and know the love of God again? It sounds like a long process. Well, I first of all, in looking at your story, I can tell you're a man with a sensitive heart, a sensitive conscience, and that can get easily overtaken by anxiety and guilt. And I first wanted, if I met you, I would just want to give you a big hug, brother. And just let you know, I appreciate your heart. I appreciate your desire in ministry to be a pastor, to bless other people. But meanwhile, you've been inwardly tormented in this. And what makes me sad is pastors aren't really allowed to like have these kind of problems. So many of them hide in shame. And because it's just true. In the body of Christ, you know, people say, yeah, we want pastors to be real. But yet it's like when they are and they share about maybe a mental health battle and struggle, they get attacked. Or, you know, I've known people losing their jobs and getting fired, saying they struggled with anxiety or struggled with depression. So it creates a deeper sense of shame and hiding because you think because you're called to ministry, you shouldn't have any kind of difficulty with your emotions or any struggles. You have to show up like you got it all together. And it's just not true. It's just not true. And it's imprisoning people more. I pay attention to what you said about no disciple. I think because you wrote, I was never disciples. I'm assuming you mean never discipled. And so that means no mentoring. And so in your teenage years, when you're running off doing that stuff, I don't know that I see God not being there or you not being saved. I see your broken heart acting out in those kind of ways. And you needed mentorship and discipleship, someone to look out for you. When we get saved, we're not growing in a silo with just us and God. We're meant to be in the body. And the only body experience I hear you having as a preacher, just convincing you'd never been saved. No, I think you're just struggling and battling. And so that brokenhearted place in your life has now been used to make you obsessive compulsive. So is there enough time left for me to know the love of God? Well, we can know it right now. We can begin it by saying, brother, you are loved by the Father right now, right where you are at. You are his. You are absolutely loved right where you're at. And that may be something that you share over yourself and say over yourself. I am absolutely fully loved by my Father in heaven right now, right where I'm at, even though I struggle to feel connected to it. Because that's what you're going to need to apply in your journey. And brother, at 68, I don't know how many years you have left. You could have quite a bunch. I don't know. But what I will say is that each step you take towards healing is a step of progress for your journey, but it's a big blessing for anyone you interact with. because we live in a generation where people are hungry for fathers, for spiritual brothers, for grandfathers. Do you know how powerful it is as somebody your age to share with people, here's my journey, but here's what I'm learning. I'm learning to be loved, and I want to share that with you. And you and your years of wisdom and training could bring so much blessing to you. And this is something, I remember the first time somebody read one of my books, and he was in his 70s, and he gathered his family around and repented to his family. It's just a different example. He repented to his family for his ways, and he said he wanted to renew, and like the power that has in the family, like genuine sense of like, I didn't treat you well, or I wasn't a good father, I wasn't this, and I just want you to know that, and I want to renew my ways. You know how many of you out there, if you had that happen to you, your parents came to you and truly repented, or a grandparent came and truly repented to the whole family? It'd be like an earthquake.
Wow.
In a good way of shaking. To me, that's like, it's like a miracle work, right? So you're not just living for your journey, brother. You're living for those that you bless and impact. If you're a father, I don't know if you're married or anything like that, but let it be a blessing to your wife. Practice that love towards other people and practice it towards yourself. But you're going to need OCD-based work. And I have a very large percentage of people over 65 writing to me. And one of the reasons is this was never really brought out. We thought OCD was just people with just neat freaks and stuff like that, or they just need everything clean and organized. We don't understand how these intrusive thoughts work. So you've all been left hanging for a very long time. I was left hanging in the 90s. There was no discussion about that. Even in the early 2000s, I don't even remember the word being brought to my attention till maybe into our marriage. I mean, we would talk about certain OCD things when we first, Melissa and I first came together, but really understanding its impact.
Yeah.
And therapists didn't even bring it up. With my neurotic brain talking about these crazy thoughts and things, it's never brought up. So brother, you were super left hanging, and then you were told, well, you weren't really saved, and so now you feel like you have to go through 100 car washes to try to fix it. No. We're going to starve those compulsions, and you're going to walk through these fears. And in that fear, 1 John 4:18 is your scripture. There is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. Let that love have a continued work. And I pray my resources can be a help and a blessing to your journey. But I appreciate you writing in. I really do. Anything else, my love? Do you have anything? Otherwise, I'm going to close this.
No, we're good.
You know, speaking of Bob Ross, somebody wrote in, they really liked, I think you told this story. Did you tell a story on our live about Kermit the Frog and Rainbow Connection?
I love that song. It's my childhood song that I would sit and be very contemplative and listen to it and be depressed. I had the album, and if it was raining out, it would be even better for me to be super depressed and play that song.
Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection. The lovers and dreamers and me. La da 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 da.
And Kermit playing his guitar. No, it's the best.
I would actually like to end all my lives with that. It'd be a copyright strike. But
it would. Maybe us even singing it could be too, but
oh my goodness.
Oh, yes.
So we leave you with that, folks. Listen to Kermit the Frog.
Listen, now we'll put that in your brain, those of you that grew up in the 70s and 80s. Oh, people love it. Yeah. People do love that song.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. It is great.
Yeah, they're posting rainbows in the comments, and that's a good way. Yes,
they're good rainbows. Oh, goodness.
All right, folks, we're out. This is wonderful.
Yes, thank you for the love, y'all.
Lord willing and the creek don't rise. This is your brother from another mother.
And your sister from another mister.
Saying we'll be back with more insights for your healing and freedom journey. In the meantime,
we out.